Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 23 of the Anime Banter podcast with your hosts Turtle, Sean, and Mike. Thank you for joining us today. How are y'all doing?
Doing pretty well and excited to be here. How about you guys?
Doing well myself, thank you.
Doing pretty well as well. Enjoyed the long weekend.
I don't know what a long weekend means. I don't have that ever.
The service industry.
I work Saturdays. So I have Saturday for me is like a half day, and then I get Sunday off, and then it's back to the grind on Monday. So I don't get weekends.
Yeah, I get like the bank holidays. So like I used to get Columbus Day off. Like talk about like a sham holiday to have off work.
I'm
I
super
always like
jealous
to,
of the bank holidays.
we have so many of them. Like dang, I have base 28 days of vacation after I buy a week. So I'm just like, I have people have unlimited vacation. That's a trap. You're not supposed to take unlimited vacation. If you have unlimited vacation, they own you. Uh, but having set vacation days, I actually kind of like that. Whenever, like I said, I buy a week, which means I give a $50 a paycheck, but I get 5 extra vacation days. So we might say, "You're crazy, man, giving up how many pay periods? 24 times 50, uh, that much money." And I'm like, no, no. I'm like, it's worth it. I'll take the 5 days any day.
I don't know. I've never, because my company offers the buying a vacation day policy too. And it's like, I don't know if I could ever do it just because it's like, unless I'm going somewhere to make it worthwhile. But then it's like, okay, well, I'm already losing money to buy those vacation days, and then I'm spending more money to go somewhere for those vacation days.
I have used all of them. Also, I'm doing things like when I have to do some travel for my wife's work, I'm going to be like working out of a hotel room in Philadelphia. Uh, so I'm like bringing a monitor in my car so I can set up at the hotel. And that's the kind of wild stuff that I do. I also worked from like Arizona for 2 weeks this year. It
How was Arizona then?
was very good. Uh, it was nice. I went in January, so it was warm there when it was like freezing cold here.
It wasn't on fire.
Um,
Yeah, that's true. There's a lot of places on fire right now, which is kind of scary.
yeah, happy I do not live in one of those places.
Same.
Our hearts go out to anyone who does live in those places.
Yeah, yeah. I really hope that none of our listeners are directly impacted by that because that would just be terrible.
I was gonna. We have some shitty weather here, but we're pretty good at avoiding natural disasters.
Yeah, Pittsburgh's pretty lucky that way.
We don't get hit with like hurricanes or like bad earthquakes or wildfires.
The occasional like really bad blizzard, but when we get a really bad blizzard, a lot of people are getting a way worse blizzard.
Yeah, and it's like once every 10 or 20 years when we get the bad blizzard.
Yeah, but with that, I do want to move on to less depressing topics. Uh, and it's something I know I've been talking to you guys for a few weeks, and I have been oppressed by my co-hosts, and they won't let me talk about. But finally, I've broken my shackles, and I may now talk about Baldur's Gate 3.
Help, help, I'm being repressed.
Uh, Listeners, if you are a PC gamer, you must play Baldur's Gate 3. If you like Dungeons and Dragons, you must play Baldur's Gate 3. If you like what else do you like doing? Oh, romancing people of exotic races. I'm not talking about I'm not getting canceled here, but I mean like, if you're like into tieflings or Githyanki or vampires, then the game also appeals to you. So trust me, the game is very horny. It just is like the game.
I don't think I've ever played a never or a Baldur's Gate, but I definitely played Neverwinter Nights 2 a bunch back in the day.
You ever played Dragon Age?
Very briefly. That's actually the one BioWare game I didn't get into. I was much more into Mass Effect.
Yeah, apparently the people who played Dragon Age were heavily inspired, or the people who made Dragon Age at BioWare were heavily inspired by Baldur's Gate. So that they essentially made a Baldur's Gate called Dragon Age. And it's funny because we're coming back around. Baldur's Gate 4, Dragon Age 4 is going to be coming out like next year or something. But Baldur's Gate 3 released now, and people are saying like Dragon Age is on notice because if the game isn't even like as half as good as this, people are just going to be like, screw Dragon Age. Like all the fans from that series are playing Baldur's Gate because the games are very similar. Just in that they give you that D&D feel. So yeah, so far for people who know what I'm talking about, I'm currently uh, I just finished chapter 1. I've chosen the mountain pass over going through the Underdark to get to the Shadowlands. I have met my guardian in person. I have been romancing Lae'zel, and let's see. Oh yeah, I did. I'm doing like mostly a good guy path. So you can do. I mean, this game is so wild and customizable that there is a party member you can only get by like killing a bunch of innocent people. So
Wow.
oh, and she's romanceable.
Is that how you start the romance path? You just murder everyone and she falls for you.
Yeah, you can like you can side with the goblins, and you can kill all these like tiefling refugees if you want. And yeah, she'll join your party. Of course, a bunch of other party members can just leave your party if you do things they disagree with.
Oh.
Yeah, so apparently if you do the actions to get her to join, like 3 or 4 other party members just leave your party because they're like, yeah, we're not into this. So yeah, it's pretty wide. Like you could just play a straight up evil person if you want. I don't really do that. It just doesn't really appeal to me, like slaughtering innocents. So doing generic good guy path.
Sounds pretty cool.
Yep. I heard there's not going to be any crossplay though, so I'm kind of bummed out about that. So if you guys got it on like the PS5 or the Xbox, I would not be able to play with you.
Boo.
Wonder why they're doing that. I know that the Xbox version doesn't come out till I believe 2024 because of the Xbox Series S, and they're unable to get it to run on both systems the same way. Where I guess it's to the point where they won't have the S. They're talking about not having split screen co-op where every other edition does.
Oh.
Huh.
Hmm. Well, I mean, if they can't get it to work, they can't get it to work, right? I mean, that's all there is
But
to it.
it's very interesting that they're not doing cross-platform when pretty much everything is cross-platform anymore.
Well, here's the deal, though, right? I think a lot of it just comes down to dedicated servers. I think Lorien, the company, the developer, does not have dedicated servers, which means you have to do peer to peer. So, like, like back in the old day, whenever you do like the Xbox 360, right? You play a match of Halo, and one person's Xbox was like the host Xbox.
I remember that with Gears of War had was known for that too.
Yep. Yeah, and that's how a lot of those games used to run until a lot of studios started investing in dedicated servers for their players. And Lorien has not invested in dedicated servers for their players, as far as I know. So uh, you're just going to be limited by the console that you're playing on because I think PC will go like peer-to-peer connection, and like PlayStation will probably do peer-to-peer connection in the same way that like you would have done it back in the day with like Gears and Halo, which isn't that outrageous. It's just that server space is really expensive. But hey, if people are on the fence about Baldur's Gate 3, by the way, this is not sponsored by Baldur's Gate 3. The game is just that good. Baldur's Gate 3, if you would like to sponsor me, let me know. I will talk about it I will hijack our quick banter segment at the beginning of every show to talk about Baldur's Gate 3 for the next year if they pay me $5. Uh, but yeah, there was another point I was gonna make about it, but I already forgot what that was. So yeah, Paul
Was it
play
more of
Baldur's.
was it more romance options?
Well, I mean, there are a lot of romance options for sure, but it was not more about that.
It sounds like the game has a lot of choices for the player to make. You can kind of like do whatever you want, which is really cool.
You can do anything you want, and they account for it. It's absolutely wild.
I imagine that is a ton of coding to make that happen.
6 years.
Wow.
Yeah, that's all it took them to make the game. What I was going to talk about, I remember now. Hasbro came out and said that the D&D movie, unfortunately, was considered a flop for them, which it made me sad, so I went to go see it and actually enjoyed the movie. It was a solid movie. But they said that Baldur's Gate 3 is going to make Hasbro enough money to be worth like 5 movies.
Wow.
Like we can release like 5 blockbuster successes, and this one game will make us like 5 of those in revenue.
I really wanted to see that movie and I didn't get a chance to.
Same here.
Yeah, it's pretty solid. I would suggest checking it out on a streaming service. I do have some problem with Wizards because, well, like with Hasbro, ever since they took over Wizards of the Coast, they've been releasing Magic the Gathering sets like crazy to cash in as much as possible. They have been they've tried that stunt with Dungeons and Dragons where here's where I'm going to lose my sponsorship, right? They pulled that stunt with Dungeons and Dragons where they tried to say like if you create like a fan made compendium, we technically like own the rights to your compendium. So like people are like afraid to release like their own like fan made compendiums because they're worried that Hasbro is going to go back to that and say like we own that or we own part of that. And then at the same time, I heard about the story where the guy with the Magic of the Gathering cards had the Pinkertons called on him, where they like busted into his house and pretty much threatened to get him arrested if he didn't like hand over Magic the Gathering cards that he received like in error from Hasbro.
Oh, I do remember that case.
Yeah. So like I don't know. I don't really love Hasbro right now, but they've also brought me entertaining IPs like I love Transformers. Big Transformers fan. So yeah, I'm like, well, I love Transformers, D&D, and Magic, but the company is it's a big corporation, and it's equally as evil as all the other big corporations.
What can you do? I mean, that's gonna happen.
Yeah, I'm just yeah, you can take the red pill and fight the corporate overlords, or you take the blue pill, go back to sleep and play Baldur's Gate 3. And I'm gonna take the blue pill. I'm taking the blue pill.
Fair
Going back to
enough.
sleep, playing Baldur's Gate 3. It's so much fun, guys. And the good people at Lorien Studios, you could tell they put their heart into it. So if you're mad at Hasbro, you can at least know you're supporting Lorien because, boy, what a great game they made.
Well, hopefully, it's coming to other console as well at some point. Is that correct?
Yeah, yep. Yeah, it will be on PS5 and Xbox at some point. PS5 version is coming in a month or two, I think.
Oh wow.
So yeah, it's weird actually to get games released on PC first, by the way, because usually it's like coming to Xbox and PlayStation. PC will get a really crappy port years from now, though. Don't worry, guys.
Yeah, a lot of times that is the case. So it's good to see the PC players getting a really cool sounding game first. But yeah, I mean, I got a PS5, so when it comes out, I might have to scoop that.
I suggested, but you should also finish Final Fantasy 16.
Yeah, I'm still grinding away at that just because I don't have a ton of time to play anymore.
Yeah, so I always try to do things one game at a time if I can.
I try. More often than not, I'll start an RPG and I'll really like it and I'll get into it and then I'll put it down and never touch it again.
Been there.
Sort of how I was with the new Fire Emblem game.
Engage.
Yeah.
It's not very good.
I mean, I beat it, but it's not really good.
Yeah, I just like stopped, and every time I try to go back to it, I think there's a better game I could be playing right now.
That's sort of how I feel with it.
Fire Emblem Three Houses was great.
I agree. I think it's the best Fire Emblem, which is apparently a controversial opinion to some, not to me.
I mean, I really enjoyed Three Houses. I have to go back and finish the other paths, but I mean, I did like a playthrough and a half, and I really liked it. I thought it was good. They shook up the formula enough where it was different and unique, but still Fire Emblem.
Yeah, at its core, it was still like that tactical RPG.
I mean, Engage, their big selling point was like, oh, well, we're gonna like go back to basics, and what they meant by go back to basics was we're gonna rehash all the old stuff that we've ever done and just redo it again, and not be original in any way, shape, or form. The
No,
story's
I
really
agree.
bad.
Yeah, they're like we're going back to basics, and it just felt like Fire Emblem Awakening, but way worse.
Yeah, yeah, it's like the same plot with the dragon, and I'm like, can we please do something different? Three Houses was different. That's why it stuck out to me.
I think that was my big problem with Engage was the story felt so familiar.
and bad.
I mean, I didn't get deep enough to figure out if it was bad or not.
It is. Trust me, it's bad.
And also, let's talk about the characters. And the characters are bland. Like I feel like in Three Houses, like they all had something really interesting going on with them. Like at least to some extent. But in like the princess is like, "Hey, I like tea. Do you like tea?" And I'm like, "No, I don't really like tea very much." But every one of your support conversations is going to be about drinking tea. So yeah, they're just so generic.
Yeah, and very one-dimensional. Oh well, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Hope the next game is better.
Who knows when that will be? If that'll be for the Switch 2, the Switch D, or something completely
Is
else.
that announced? Is the new Switch being announced yet?
No, not
Not
yet.
yet. I'm excited for it though. It better have backwards compatibility with all the old Switch games, or I'm gonna lose it.
It will, but only if you have the cartridge.
Good thing I buy games.
I buy physical games.
I buy physical games, physical media all the way.
I was having a discussion with a friend earlier, and he's like, "I've gone anti-physical media. I will do anything I can to not own a physical copy of anything." And I'm like, "No." It's one of those things like once you buy a house and you have like no room for anything, you're like, "I would like to get rid of my physical media, please."
See, the problem with doing all digital though, and like I purchased a digital game for my PS4, and I kept getting these error messages that like it could not recognize my license and it was gonna, shut the game down. So to me, that says on the back end, they can pull the plug on your license and you can't play the game that you paid for and downloaded. But if you have a physical disc, you can always put it in and hit go and it will work.
Crap, I didn't know that could really happen like that, where it, like just don't recognize your license anymore.
Yeah. Or they could just remove it and be like, well, now you can't play this. Or hey, we're shutting the store down. Anything that you download, it's not going to function anymore. I don't know how that works, but physical media, you always have it. You can always use it.
And that's I've heard of friends. I had a friend who's like Switch broke, and if you have the physical copies, you can just put it in. But if your Switch breaks, you don't get to like re-download your game. I don't think. I think they actually make you buy a new copy on like a new machine.
I don't know. That would suck really bad.
I'd have to double check on that one, but I think they might. Which sure that sort of thing worked like back in the day, I guess, when everyone had to buy discs, right? Like yeah, I don't know, your console broke and or maybe they just didn't have the capability to track your purchases very well, like the Xbox 360, I guess, right? But yeah, I don't know. That's why I like the physical versions. If something ever happens to my console and I've got a download only game, I just re-download it just in case. I've heard Nintendo's really weird about that.
Nintendo's weird about a lot of things.
I love Nintendo, but I also hate Nintendo.
They're just bad at being modern. Like the rumor is the new Switch will have the power of the PS4, Xbox One.
I'm actually shocked that we would get to that point. I mean, the Switch is running off a computer chip from a tablet from 2017.
Oh crap! Hold on, real quick, guys. You can re-download for the Switch. Never mind. I was
Okay.
giving poor information, but there's no way to like save your memory.
Yeah,
So like you'll lose your save files.
you have to start the game over. Be better, Nintendo, please. Be better. We love you. And we want you to be better.
Shall we jump into the anime?
Yeah, let's get going.
Yeah, I think we bantered enough.
Today, we are talking about episodes 15 and 16 of Vinland Saga Season 1. Episode 15, After Yule, or, if you're watching on Netflix, After Winter Solstice. The episode begins with Floki catching King Swain up with the latest news in regards to Prince Canute, while King Swain is getting fed and is drinking some wine. I sort of laughed how it's like, King Swain just like was going pretty much no shirt, just yeah, I'm the king, I can do what I want. And boy was his body not looking good. Just all the cuts and everything, all the scars, all the sag.
No, dude. I mean, dude looks like he was a legit warrior though in his youth.
Yeah, absolutely. But now, I mean, age catches up with everyone, as Askeladd said previously.
Yeah, he definitely looks like he's like 120 and like can't get out of bed anymore, so he has to just eat in bed all the time. Or I'm sorry, not just eat, be fed in bed.
I thought it was weird in one of the last episodes. he was very disheartened about the news of Prince Canute being left behind. He's like, "Oh, what happened to him? Why is no one helping him?" Yada yada. It's like, dude, you left him there. Like you told him to stay. You were pulling out, and now, now in this episode, he once again doesn't seem too broken up about Prince Canute going missing. He's like, "Oh, that's a shame. Oh well, feed me more."
It kind of made me laugh. He's like, "Where's my son? He disappeared. Oh well, survival of the fittest."
It's like this meat is real good, so I don't care.
This breakfast is fantastic.
And like Floki, doesn't really react one way or the other.
I'm trying to remember. Was it Floki who wanted him dead, or is it like the king who wants him dead?
Floki is the one who put the hit out, but we don't know if it came from King Swain or if it was just Floki saying otherwise.
That's a good question actually, because they made it seem like Floki was the one who wanted Thor's dead, but was it Floki or was he following King Swain's order?
Yeah, I feel like he was probably following orders more than anything else.
Or maybe King Swain really liked Thor's and Floki was afraid that he would be replaced, so he just had Thor's dealt with.
Could be it.
Because Floki's pretty high up there. He responds directly to the king. So maybe he was afraid Thor's was going to come back into the picture and take his job.
Well, we might find out later, 50 episodes from now or something.
At the pace this show goes, that's possible.
Oof.
When Thor makes his miraculous return, he was brought back to life by the Dragon Balls.
Yes. Welcome back, Thor's.
That was my favorite part of the episode. Waifu of the week, Thor's.
Thor's revived by Shenron.
But we're really bearing the lead here because the real news of this episode is Thorkel is back, baby!
Woo! My man.
Thank goodness.
I was so happy when he came back.
You have no idea how happy I was. I hated those last two episodes, and I was really losing favor with the show. And, my savior arrived, and he brought everything back.
If they just give us about 60 seconds of Thorkel every episode, it's honestly probably enough to carry me through the first season.
That's all Turtle needs. He's like, just give me a little bit of Thorkel every episode, and you have me hooked.
Dude, since Thor's has been gone, Thorkel is the best thing about this show because he's doing stuff and he's ridiculous, and I need that sort of levity and comedy to keep me into this. And he's crazy strong, he's funny, he's intelligent, he's the most interesting thing in this show for me.
I was gonna say, I think Thorkel's probably gonna hold the waifu of the week record for most straight waifus of the week from someone. Because I just can't see Turtle picking anyone else. But I don't know, Turtle, we haven't gotten to today's segment, so I don't know who you're gonna pick. But I wouldn't be surprised if it was Thorkel.
I'll give you 3 guesses.
I don't think I'm gonna need 3.
Can we just lock in that Thorkel is going to be Turtle's waifu of the year?
Oh man, when December rolls around, we should do an end of year wrap up show, and we should choose waifu of the year.
That's actually a good idea. I like that.
Listeners, please be listening in 4 months.
We'll do a year wrap up episode. I like it. It is going to be Thorkel though.
We haven't. We still have 4 months of anime to watch.
No, dude, it's Thorkel. Trust me.
Turtle's like, I know what I like. It's set.
I'm not in control of this anymore. It's Thorkel.
Oh, no Wolfwood, no Vash.
Something that you watched on your own?
If it was the original Vash and or Wolfwood,
Maybe.
But I mean, Thorkel's nuts. He's just awesome.
Well, I have 4 months to think about who I want to be my waifu of the year. I'm glad Turtle has his figured out already.
I love how Thorkel was so mopey when we first see him. He's like, oh, winter is back. That means the snow's coming. No more war. Sad Thorkel. He's like, I just want a war to last forever. And then the guy comes in, he's like, sir, do you want braised pork or some other kind of pork? He's like, you know what? Both. I'll take both. And all the beer.
What did I tell you? Thorkel's awesome. He's hilarious.
And then he gets his food, he gets his beer, and then he's like, I'm gonna be a sad panda again because the English are surrendering, so I am sad. Boo hoo hoo. Bring me more beer. I just Thorkel. He's great.
At least he doesn't have to be sad very long.
I love how the English hosts were so like they were freaking out. He's like, they're doing more now than they are when they raid the village.
We're not gonna have any food left.
They're not gonna make it through the winter, right?
They're eating all our food, they're drinking all our beer. We learn that Ear can hear what the drunk priest Ragnar and Prince Canute are praying about. And he's like, it's always the same. They're always asking for forgiveness. Forgive me this, forgive me that, forgive me this, and blah, 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 blah. He's like, how many times can you be forgiven? And we see the priest when he prays that his faith is starting to waver. He's like, I've seen so many innocent deaths and this and this and this. And Ragnar and Prince Canute are sort of shocked to hear the priest losing his faith. And it gets so bad that Prince Canute starts yelling at the priest, which is now 2 episodes in a row that Prince Canute goes off on someone.
That kind of shocked me. I wasn't expecting that.
I also was surprised, but I'm here for it. I want a more outspoken Prince Canute. Give this guy a personality. Let's do it.
I think we're starting to see Askeladd and Thorfinn's influence on him. He's talking more, he's opening up.
He's got like he goes from 0 to 60. He's afraid and refuses to speak and hides behind somebody to him just yelling at somebody. There's no in between.
I also love the one thing I'd never noticed with Ear was it looks like he's blind.
What? Really?
I mean, he hasn't. Whenever they showed him, he didn't have pupils in his eyes. It was just all white.
Huh. I actually didn't catch that.
I'll have to look. I'll have to look next time they show him.
Yeah, go back and rewatch. Like you could really because they got some really good close up of Ear in both of these episodes. I'm like, is he blind? Because I didn't know. Like every other character has had pupils.
I mean, that kind of makes sense. They say when you lose one of your senses, your others can be enhanced. So it would make sense if he can't see, he has developed super hearing, so he can hear much better.
Yeah, I guess so. Like Daredevil.
Ah, he's Daredevil. Ear Devil?
Ear Devil.
Devil Ear.
We're gonna see him in Chainsaw Man season 2.
Maybe.
Oh, the Ear Devil. Yeah.
It's just him. It looks exactly the same.
It's just the ear from Vinland Saga.
He's just sitting. He's up in a tree. Thorkel's coming. I can hear him.
So we're back to Thorkel, and he learns from a messenger that Askeladd and his crew have been snowed in, and he's excited to go back to battle once more. But before they leave, he says they need more food and more alcohol. And was the messenger Anne?
Yes.
It was a redheaded girl, but they never really said for sure if it was her or not.
They showed her, and I think she looked enough like her. And who else would have told them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because they mentioned she was the only survivor, so it was her.
But this kind of ticks me off, though, because that means I have a feeling that's the last we're going to see of Anne. And just like the whole episode, last episode was just to get Anne there to tell Thorkel where they were.
All in the name of Thorkel, baby.
That's true, actually, Turo. I feel like you're like, well, I didn't like last episode, but I can forgive it because it got Thorkel back into the episode.
Plot point.
Yeah, I mean, if Thorkel had not returned, I kind of would have been out of this show. So I guess I can forgive it a little bit, just a little though.
They could have cut the middleman out. Last episode could have been 15 minutes of that, and then have her show up at the end. You know what I mean? And then we get more
yeah,
Thorkel sooner.
absolutely.
I lost it when Askeladd, Ear, and Bjorn were talking about the approaching soldiers, and they were all taking a leak.
Yeah, that was pretty good. I enjoyed that. I thought it was funny.
We then see Thorfinn finally for the first time. Like, it feels like for him being the main character, we really haven't seen him of late.
Yeah, it's been weird. It's like he'll be on the screen, but he doesn't do anything.
We learned that he caught a rabbit and he's going to eat it for dinner. And Ragnar's like, "Oh, come join us with that rabbit you just caught." He's like, and you can eat it with vegetables. He's like, "Shut up, old conehead. If I want to eat it with just meat, I'm just gonna eat it like meat. Like I don't need your opinion. But he's like, all right, fine, I'll entertain your offer. Prince Canute ends up making like a really good stew out of it. And Thorfinn like takes a bite because he was skeptical. He's like, why should I eat vegetables when I could just have meat?
Vegetables are tasty. I'm just gonna come out there and say it.
They are, but
Meat's better for me.
Thorfinn would be a huge fan of Arby's.
They do have the meats.
Yeah, you ever just picture Thorfinn as like that guy who like only eats fast food? You know what I mean, like every day is like a rotation to like McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, and Arby's. Like I totally see him as that kind of guy.
He's like, all right, what kind of meat am I gonna have today?
A chicken sandwich or burger?
Why
Or
not
both.
both?
Oh, jeez.
I used to do that all the time at Wendy's in college. Back when it was like the 99-cent meal or 99-cent menu, I would get a junior bacon cheeseburger. I would get a crispy chicken sandwich, and then I would pretty much put like the bottom bun from one as a middle bun, like a Big Mac, and then make the two into one big sandwich.
Dude,
It was
That
amazing.
is legit.
I never thought to try something like that.
Every once in a while, I'll do that when I get Wendy's. It's like, you know what? Let's go throw it back to college days and get this.
There you go.
It's solid. I would recommend it one time.
There just isn't like a really good Wendy's close to me. Like it's really easy to get to. So I just haven't had Wendy's in a really long time.
Yeah, the one that's closest to me has gone way downhill, so I stopped going.
Ah, that sucks.
I used to love Wendy's.
I forget how. Whenever I have Wendy's, I'm like, oh, I forgot how good Wendy's is.
I'll tell you what, when the cheeseburger's made right and it's not like soaked in grease, the Wendy's burger is really good.
It's because it's fresh, never frozen.
But I've had them where they're like just sopping in grease and not good. But when they're made right, they're tasty.
So we learned that Prince Canute actually really enjoys cooking, and the only reason he doesn't do it more is because King Swain won't let him.
Do my eyes deceive me? Is that character development for Prince Canute?
No.
Pretty good
Maybe.
episode for Prince Canute.
It really was.
I mean, not what happens later being a good episode, but
Yeah.
good episode for development.
Yeah. I will say, after like watching this scene, it's like, oh man, Prince Canute and Thorfinn are totally gonna become besties.
Absolutely.
And like it gets to the point where Thorfinn can like they're eating and Thorfinn's like someone like he just knows someone's coming and he hides behind the door, and when the door opens, he puts his dagger up to the guy's throat. And the guy's like, just the messenger, you idiot.
Hey, he's taking his job seriously to protect the prince.
He is. Ragnar says, okay, I must talk to Askeladd. This is getting out of hand. So they're like, oh, yeah, sure, you can talk to Askeladd. And they're walking in the snow. And Ragnar's like, you idiots, the battle's that way. And then we learn, it's a trap.
It's a trap.
It's a tarp. I mean, the one guy was pretty much hiding underneath a tarp.
That is true. That's very true.
Yeah, they got him good.
Yeah, poor Ragnar. We knew it was coming. I didn't think it would be so soon.
Yeah, boy, are they lucky they didn't hit anything critical, so Ragnar had time to monologue before his death.
It's like, oh, I am dying. But first, let me tell you this very important plot point.
Quick, get Askeladd. I have to tell him something.
It's like when Thor's died. He just had like 15 arrows sticking out of him. And he's just like, "Here, my son, hug me." And then he's like, "I'll die when I dang well want to die."
I'll die when I'm ready.
Can I also mention that the two guys who Ragnar was following, who they were leading him away, the one whips around when Ragnar's like, "The battle's the other way. Where are we going?" The guy's like, "Oh, you finally caught on, Conehead." He called him Conehead. I like how that nickname is sort of like spread amongst the crew.
I mean, it fits very well.
It does,
Yeah,
but
it does.
I just didn't expect anybody but Thorfinn to call him Conehead. So when that guy dropped, that made me laugh.
So, while Ragnar is slowly bleeding out, where it's to the point where even like Askeladd's like, You should probably tell me soon what you want to tell me because you're sort of losing a lot of blood. And Ragnar's like, oh yeah, but we could talk some more first before I fully bleed out.
By my estimation, I have about 5 minutes. 30 episodes later.
I'm surprised it wasn't a like belabored breathing. It's like ah, ah. It's like okay, you're about to die. Nope, feeling better. Okay, I could. Ah,
I think I could go for a walk.
I'm getting better. I feel like I can sing.
I feel happy.
But for real though, okay, so this scene, they dropped some pretty big plot points, but when I was watching this, it felt like it was lasting an eternity.
Yeah, I felt the same. It's like it was a very important scene, but wow,
They stretched it out.
it felt like it was half the episode.
It really did.
I don't know if it really was, but it felt that way.
This show, like every episode to me, has felt like one or two key important things, and it's just spread out and takes its good old time to mention these things. And there's a lot of fluff and padding for like two important things to take with you into the next episode. It just feels like a lot of padding in the show.
Like, let's review the important stuff that was cut. Like, important thing number one: Askeladd tells Ragnar, "Hey, you have to die because if you don't, Prince Canut's never going to be a good ruler. So you must die, and I must become his right hand man to make him a good ruler." Important thing number two: Ragnar tells Askeladd that there's a growing power struggle on who will succeed King Sweyn, Prince Canute or his older brother. And one camp believes it should be the older brother, the other camp believes it should be Prince Canute, probably due to the religion aspect. Because, I mean, by tyranny role or monarchy role, like the oldest son takes over with unless there's like a war for the younger to take over and then the older one dies. And we learn that King Sweyn has made his decision according to Ragnar, and Ragnar says King Sweyn wants Prince Canute dead.
It did seem accurate. Yep. Um, it's a pretty big plot bomb, right? Because we're like, oh, like this is it for that like Canute can't go back now, but they can side with the other faction.
Yeah. And like it's such a big plot bomb that even Askeladd's like, I wish you would have told me this earlier. This really changes things.
Yeah, like the whole point was like Askeladd was going to take the prince back and gain favor and train the prince to be the next ruler. And here, if they take him back, King Swain's just gonna have him killed. So now what do we do?
And probably Askeladd killed too.
Yeah. So like,
Probably.
what's the plan now? Show.
Are they gonna kill King Sweyn? And the older brother?
I mean, they have to. King Swain looks like he's almost dead already.
I was gonna say a stiff breeze might kill him.
But we haven't met the older brother, so I don't know what this character's like.
I just remember they're like, oh, he's a great warrior.
We don't know anything else about him.
Time for Thorfinn to go kill him for his dole. But yeah, that for how important that scene was, it felt like it took a long time. Like I get it, very important plot points, but could have moved a little faster. Either could have moved a little faster, or could have been done last episode instead of taking so much time on Anne and her family.
Yeah, I feel like we spent way too much time with that whole episode. You could have cut that down to like 5 minutes. Hey, here's a family. Here's the Vikings killing the family. Moving on.
Hey, Anne's family's here. Hey, Anne's family's dead.
Moving along.
Next.
And now it is time for Mike's Beer of the Week. So this week's Beer of the Week is a little off the wall, as it's not true like an IPA. It's not a stout, not a session, not a saison or a sour. It's actually a flavored malt beverage. And it's like, wait, is that even a beer? And this week's beer of the week comes to you from Green Rebel Brewing, and it is their Hard Mountain Dew flavor beer. That's right, there is a Hard Mountain Dew. It's 5%, and before I drank it, I'm like, all right, because it was late at night. I'm like, oh, I don't really want a Mountain Dew before bed. I don't want to have to deal with the caffeine. And there's no caffeine in this. It is zero caffeine, zero sugar. And it was okay. I was sort of hoping for more with it being an alcoholic Mountain Dew. I think with it being zero sugar really hampered it because I'm not really a big fan of the zero sugar Mountain Dew to begin with. Glad I tried it. Really glad I didn't have a six pack of it. But I will say I need to get my hands on the Hard Mountain Dew Baja Blast because everyone knows Baja Blast is goated. The untapped average rating 3.3. My rating 3.25. Episode 16 History of Beasts. Talk about a gruesome way to start this episode with the owl ripping the dead guy's ear off.
Pretty brutal.
An interesting choice. It was pretty cool though, yeah.
And this isn't the only time we see this owl in the episode. It's like, is there something more to this owl than just than meets the eye?
Maybe owls are just cool, so they thought they'd put them in.
Yeah, I think that's actually probably it.
So Ragnar's body is brought to Prince Canute, and Askeladd tells him, "Hey, the English did this," and Prince Canute is obviously pretty upset about it. You know, it was his real it wasn't his real father, but it was his father figure.
Yeah.
Also, like his best friend too.
Yes.
Yeah, he hasn't really had a chance to like spend time with anybody else. So of course, he attached to Ragnar, being that Ragnar raised him. So it was shocking.
As Yondu said in Guardians of the Galaxy 2, he might have been your father, but he wasn't your daddy.
True.
That was a good movie.
I agree.
Bjorn, this whole episode has a common theme, and it's people losing faith in Askeladd. And it starts with Bjorn wondering if Askeladd made the wrong choice in killing Ragnar. And Askeladd's like, dummy, don't say it too loud so Prince Canute hears it and doesn't trust us.
You can't just be saying stuff like that out loud. Come on, man.
Yeah, I figured Bjorn would know better than that.
Of course, then he looked around. He's like, dude, Canute's not anywhere to be seen. Chill out.
It's like you can't just go around blurting out all the secrets. So we learn that an English captain has been captured by Askeladd's men, and Askeladd's men are trying to get the captain to spill the beans on where they're coming from, how many there are, etc. And to do this, they decide to just beat the shit out of him.
And beat the shit out of him they do.
The one's like, oh, that's not how you kick him. This is how you kick him. They're like, oh, see, you failed. His jaw's still attached. And
That poor guy.
It was pretty brutal.
Askeladd's like, guys. We're not going to get any information if he's dead. So he's like, you know what? Get me the shears. And Askeladd starts playing as the good cop. He's like, you can just tell me this stuff and we can be done with it. Like, these are the three things I want to know. Tell me, and we're good. And the guy's like, no, eat shit. I'll never tell you. It's like, oh, okay, well, your fingernails are looking pretty long. Let me help you cut those for you. And then he just starts taking fingertips off.
It is incredibly brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah, they haven't been. I've actually noticed that in a lot of cases they actually haven't shown like a ton of like. There is brutality and there's gore. Like they show the Vikings like killing kids, but they don't like show like the weapons connecting. You know what I'm saying? Like they don't show that usually. It's usually just like a guy swinging, and then them doing a montage of just like showing a blood squirt, but like not a person actually getting killed. They've showed death in here, but they haven't showed torture yet, really. So this is kind of a new thing.
To be fair, they really didn't show like you heard it, but we never actually saw Askeladd taking the shears to the fingertips and watching the fingertips get cut off frame by frame.
Yeah, visually, it could be so much more violent and gory, but thankfully they don't do that. Again, like we mentioned before, like, oh, I'm so glad they didn't show, this or show that. And they continue to do that.
Yeah, like a child getting decapitated. Yeah.
It's they show enough that you know what they're doing, but they don't show you everything. And like we got it. Thank you. We don't need to see that. That's something I'll give this show big props for. Is they're not it's not super gory as it could be. And I like that. I don't need super gory.
But also, I do have to say that when you run a show, though we'll say when he starts to cut off the guy's nose.
Oh,
Yeah.
that scene.
Yeah, that scene. Yeah,
Oh.
sorry, I was interrupted, but I just remembered about the nose, and I was like, oh wait, hold up, they did show that, but he got stopped
They,
part of the way through.
yeah. That's how
But
that's how you know he wasn't going to lose his nose.
yeah, because they started showing the gore.
Exactly.
I but I was gonna say when you have a sponsor, and like people pay for ad space for your show, right? And there's some sponsors who aren't willing to go like over a certain line, right? They want to maintain like a more family friendly image, or or maybe their version of the what is it, the FCC, whoever does the censorship.
I know when you like the TV ratings, like
Yeah, like the censorship rules.
it's like there's a big difference between like PG and TV 14 in terms of what you can and can't show and what advertisers you may and may not get
Yeah,
and
exactly.
what those advertisers are expecting.
And unfortunately, because like my degree is finance, and I work at a bank, and like everything that I see is through the lens of money. So for me, honestly, like that sometimes the magic is lost on me for certain things because I'm just like, how are they trying to get my money? Yeah, it's just what everything boils down to. That's why I wonder if they've kind of had to hold back on some of the stuff because if they actually show someone getting physically horrifically tortured or someone actually decapitating a child on screen, then they are going to be, probably out of favor with their sponsors or their censorship body in Japan.
That's true. That's a good point. Because I mean, it's easy to think it's like, oh well, here in the U.S. it's on Netflix and Crunchyroll. Like they don't have advertisement money, but it's not necessarily the case everywhere else.
Yeah, I mean, Japan, this stuff still airs on TV before it airs on a streaming service.
I forget what watching shows on TV is like.
Every once in a while, like I don't know, like at like my parents' house and they'll have the TV on in the background, and like I'll walk by and I'll see something, I'll be like, oh, that's interesting, and then play the commercials, and I'm like, right, I do not miss this.
It's
Uh-huh.
like it's like watching Red Zone during football season. You get 8 hours of commercial free football,
Oh,
and then you
Red
watch a
Zone.
regular game, and you're like, commercials so slow. Need more action.
Oh, it's brutal. Like you turn on a game and you get like a single play and then you get 30 minutes of commercial break. It's bad.
Not a fan. Uh, that's for sure. But talk about that Red Zone. Who? Wait till we get to next week's quick banter.
Oh baby, I am ready for 8 hours of commercial free football. The best are the days where there's like a game in Europe and you wake up and there's football on from like 9 o'clock in the morning to like 11 o'clock at night.
I would be excited about that if I ever got out of bed before like 11 on Sunday.
I miss those days. I used to do that. Wake up at noon, go to bed at 6 a.m. I can't do that anymore.
Me neither. I have to get up at 6 a.m. You know, you know what I mean?
Sundays I wake up, when my alarm would go off, just my body just wakes up. I'm like, I don't have to wake up today. Why am I awake? It's too early.
Very unfortunate.
I love how Askeladd was giving the English captain a history lesson. And the English captain was having none of it. He's like, "No, you're a liar. We've always been here, and you're telling lies. I don't believe you, savage." It's like, no, Askeladd's actually right here. And then we see that damn owl again, but this time he's plucking an eyeball out.
Another brutal scene.
The first time I said eyeball, it sounded really weird. Had like a southern twang to it or something.
The eyeball.
Eyeball.
That owl done took his eyeball.
Sometimes the Pittsburghese slips out. I feel like when I'm talking.
It's all
Oh,
good.
for sure. I'm sure people listening can hear me talk, and they're like, that guy has an accent.
At least it's not like Yin's guys want to go downtown and get some Isley's chipped ham sandwiches from Permanis and that.
Oh, I'm sure. One of my guilty words is the word iron. I say like iron.
Iron.
City.
Yeah, like get my Iron City light. And that is definitely a Pittsburghese saying that I fall victim to.
So, as Askeladd is trying to cut the nose off, Ea runs up to Askeladd to let him know the English have arrived. And by the English, he means dun 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 Thorkel.
My boy's back yet again.
We see Thorkel and he says, "All right, men, don't kill Prince Canute. We need him alive. Don't kill Thorfinn because the two of us have a rematch to attend to."
I love that he is so laser focused on fighting Thorfinn.
Well, it's interesting because I feel like he wants to talk to him because he might want to figure out what happened to Thor's. I wonder if he's curious about that.
I don't necessarily think Thorkel wants to kill Thorfinn. I think Thorkel's like, oh, if this is really Thor's son, that means I can train this kid and he's going to be a great sparring partner and we can just fight forever.
That definitely seems like a very Thorkel thing. And I'm not against that.
Nor am I.
We want Askeladd to die, and we want Thorkel to be the new mentor. We hope the author of the series could read our thoughts from the future when writing this.
It's like season 2 is already complete, but go back and redo this for season 1, please.
Yeah, I'm definitely in the kill Askeladd and Thorkel's the new mentor figure camp. That's where I am.
Askeladd says, all right, we need to leave Ragnar behind. We need to start marching and marching quickly. Like, we're not going to stop marching. We're going to eat while we march. We're going to sleep while we march. We're going to shit while we march. And Prince Canute is having none of it. He's like, no, we need to bring Ragnar with us. And we need Ragnar. And he's just crying out for Ragnar. And Askeladd slaps the shit out of Prince Canute. Like, probably the first person to really lay a hand on him, besides maybe his father.
I would say that's probably true.
Yeah, I would think so.
And it worked. Like, Prince Canute, like, he didn't like it, but he's like, all right, like, he begrudgingly accepted the fact that they had to go.
I don't even know if he accepted it. I think he was just in shock that somebody hit him.
That's a good point.
He just like, he doesn't know what to do and he just like froze up. Askeladd's like, throw him on the sled. We got to get out of here.
We then learn that people want to leave Askeladd and join Thorkel. And they're like, Askeladd, what are you going to do? He's like, nothing. They want to leave? Fine. Follow who you want to follow. I don't really give a damn. But if you can't keep up with me, you're dead. And then we learn the people who deserted, well, they're also dead. Because Thorkel killed them all.
It was glorious.
I feel like that was Askeladd's way of like warning them subtly, and they just didn't pick up on it. Like, well, if you leave, if you stay behind, you're gonna die. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Thorkel's gonna kill you. And they didn't pick up on it at all. They're like, we're just gonna join Thorkel. And Thorkel's like, nope, you're traitors. I don't want you.
And Thorkel's like, all those deserters are scum. And like, even his right-hand man is like, why did you kill them? We could have used those bodies. Like, nah, scum. We don't want deserters. It was cool to see, though. I don't know if you guys picked up on this or not. When Thorkel was in his rage of slaying the deserters, his eyes were pure white. There was no pupils.
I did not see that. I definitely want to go back and watch that.
And then when his rage ended, his eyes went back to normal. He's like, oh, hey, what's going on?
More reasons to love Thorkel.
I don't know if I would call that rage or maybe just like the
Just
zen
killing
of fighting.
spree. Yeah, that's a good point.
He just zones out and he starts doing his thing. I do like that he was like dual wielding axes, and he's literally cutting these dudes in half with a single swing. Like their torso goes flying to the left side of the screen. the legs fall off in like one swing. They're done.
We then see the second best character going right now, the drunk priest. And he asks for more. He's like, "Is there any more booze?" And the guy's like, "No. And even if there was, you wouldn't get it because we haven't had any in forever." So, oh, I want some booze.
I love he's still carrying around his own little keg, his little mini
He's
keg.
it's like, "I'll go get my own booze."
He's got like, he's shaking it above his head, and the one or two drops come out, and he's like, "I'm out of booze."
Yeah, honestly, the priest guy. I wonder where he's gonna go from here because he's part of like the, you know, Canute and Ragnar kind of team, right? And then now that Ragnar's gone, like, I guess they're like, do we really have to carry this guy around with us? I feel like they definitely just want to ditch him, but they can't because of Canute.
I'm honestly kind of interested to see the future of the priest. Like, is this character going to be around for the rest of the show? Is he gonna just leave? Is he gonna die? Like, I'm curious. Like, they brought him on for a reason, and I'm interested to see what happens to this character.
This next scene was pretty interesting to me. Askeladd pulls Bjorn and Thorfinn aside, and he says, "Hey, get in the wagon, the two of you, with Prince Canute, and when shit turns sideways, run. Like, take him away, get away from us." And they're both sort of like, "What do you mean? Like, why?" And Askeladd's like, "I know my crew. I know people's faces. I know what to look for. They're starting to turn on me. You guys need to protect the prince." And I thought that was a very interesting scene. Like, we see the vulnerable Thorkel, or the vulnerable Askeladd. I don't know if vulnerable is the right word, but
I mean, Askeladd's always been like incredibly cautious and really planning out what to do. And they have made mention in earlier episodes of the show that he's really good at reading people. But I think it's the first time he mentioned like he's really good at reading their faces and understanding what their internal thoughts are. So he's able to see the beginning of distrust spread throughout his crew. So he's making plans to, when they turn, you guys need to get the prince out of here and keep him safe.
I do like Askeladd's ability to like, read people. Like you said, I think vulnerable is maybe the right term. Where like everyone's just gone with whatever Askeladd has said, and now that they faced even the smallest amount of resistance, everyone's like doubting him. So I don't know. It has been a pretty bad string of bad luck for him, though.
Askeladd's luck has run out. That's the theme there.
we then see then see Thorkel's men show up, and Askeladd's men are like, "What are those shiny things?" And we see that Thorkel and his men are equipped with spears. And I fucking lost it when Thorkel threw his spear and killed 4 men at one time.
I
Ugh,
loved this scene. It was absolutely incredible. Thorkel's the best. He throws the
beautiful.
spear and it impales like four dudes. And I love the response. Like the spear whizzes right past Askeladd and it hits the ground. Snow's flying everywhere like an explosion went off. And the guy's like, that spear just killed 3 people. No, 4. Absolutely amazing.
I also love how Askeladd completely no-sells the spear just going right by him. Like, he wasn't even phased.
Oh yeah, that could have taken him out.
The episode ends on a cliffhanger with all of Askeladd's men beginning to turn on him.
Mutiny.
I so wanted to watch the next episode as soon as this one ended, because it's like, all right, I need to know what happens next.
I'm gonna make a prediction here. With the history of this show and how the episodes run, Askeladd's gonna have a quick pep talk, and that's gonna be the end of the thing. It's gonna be so anti dramatic or climactic.
It's We're gonna have all this hype going into next week, and it's gonna be like, oh, the fight lasted all of 30 seconds. Nothing
Yeah,
happened.
Askeladd's men are like, "Oh, we're not following you anymore," and Askeladd's gonna be like, "Did you see what Thorkel just did? he killed 4 people at once with a spear. We need to get out of here or we're all dead. They'll be like, oh yeah, okay, we'll follow you again.
Yeah, like what do they think's gonna happen? Just follow Askeladd because you have no other choice. What are you gonna do? Desert? You saw what happened to the other deserters.
Well, I guess they don't know what happened to the other deserters. They didn't see it.
That's actually a good point.
They don't know they're dead men if they desert.
Askeladd will probably use that as leverage to get him back. Thorkel's just gonna kill you.
So what did you two think of these episodes?
Go ahead, Sean. You go first.
Sure. Much better than the previous week's 2 episodes. Still not fantastic though. It was nice to see the return of Thorkel, but it just felt like I watched a lot of minutes of a show with not a lot of things actually happening. So, like you referenced before, Turtle, it seems like they're walking. That seems like half the episodes are just them walking somewhere. So, I hope that the next 2 episodes pick up a little more with Thorkel hot on the trail. Could lead to some excitement.
How about you, Turtle? What did you think?
I think it was pretty clear from last week's episode that I disliked both episodes from last week. I just thought they were incredibly boring. This week, however, we had the glorious return of Thorkel. And I mean, I'm still, like Sean said, I think there was too much padding. The show has a lot of padding. Like you can cut out all the fluff and there's like 15 minutes of Thorkel action. And that's really what you need to know. But I mean, I like these a lot better than last week's episode. So I'm, especially with this one ending with the cliffhanger, I have a feeling that it's not going to end in a big crazy battle or anything exciting. They're going to be talked down by Askeladd and they're going to keep running or walking or whatever they're doing. But I like them more than last week's episode, and I am interested again to see what happens with that cliffhanger. So
I really like these 2 episodes. They were both way better than the episode with Anne and her family. But I mean, I feel like that was a low bar to clear. But like you two said, like it felt like both episodes had very important plot points involved with them. But it sort of felt like it took forever to get to those plot points. But what's funny to me is for both Chainsaw Man and Trigun, we're like, oh, I wish this show was longer so we could get more in-depth points of the story. We can like spread the story out some more. And here we are with this episode, this show. And it's like, I wish they would cut some of the extra the fat off and just start moving the story along faster. And now it is time for the waifu of the week. Turtle, who is your waifu of the week and why?
I'm going to, this is the 3rd time in a row, I think, I'm picking Thorkel. Obviously, he's ridiculous. How could you not pick him? Yeah, I mean, if you watch the episodes with us, you saw every time he's on screen, he's either funny or kicking ass. And that's got my attention, so it is hands down Thorkel. I cannot wait to see more of him.
I am shocked by that pick. Shocked, I tell you. Shocked.
Never saw it coming.
Well, I'm full of surprises.
Okay, not really shocked. Sean, who is your pick and why?
Well, on one hand, you could do a roundabout way of picking Anne from the last episode because she got Thorkel back in the series. But no, I'm actually going to pick, for the 2nd week in a row, Ragnar. Even till the very end, he was looking out for Canute, and I think that is a very admirable trait for the man who was Canute's guardian. Ragnar was a good man, and he will be missed, I guess, by Canute.
It's also the last time you can pick him because he's dead.
Yeah, honestly, sometimes character deaths, you just like have to pick them as the waifu of the week because you're just like, well, there's no better choice.
That's fair.
Until we meet Ragnar's brother, Magmar.
He's a Pokemon.
My waifu of the week is actually Askeladd. It feels a little off the wall with how was sort of a dick in the first episode with killing Ragnar, but Askeladd's one of the most interesting characters of this show. Like, every time you think you have a read on him, he changes it. he's like, oh, you have all the answers? Well, I'm going to change the questions. And it was so cool, like, seeing him be vulnerable and, like, saying, hey, you guys need to get Prince Canute the hell out of here if shit goes sideways. And, like, even after Ragnar dies, he's like, well, shit, I wish I would have known this information earlier. We could have, like, changed course. So, while he wasn't the greatest, like, I just really enjoy how interesting he is every week, and he keeps us on our toes. Thank you all for joining us this week as we watch Vinland Saga. We hope you join us next week for episode 24 of the Anime Banter podcast, where we will watch episodes 17 and 18 of Vinland Saga. Please give us a 5-star review on all platforms that allow reviews. If you are listening on YouTube, please like the video, hit the notification bell, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment. Turtle, do you have anything you would like to plug?
I'll keep it very brief because I plug the same thing every week. Check out my YouTube channel, RPG Treasure Trove.
Sean, do you have anything you would like to plug?
Yes, please. Please check out the Demon Files. We're coming back soon, so please catch up on Season 1 before Season 2 airs.
The Anime Banter podcast can be found on Facebook, X, Instagram, and YouTube. Thank you all for joining, and we will talk to you next week.